Major League Baseball and its Players Association have continued talks the last couple of days, but the labor dispute continues, and they've bounced back and forth proposals to each other. They haven't come to an agreement as of yet, but have agreed on a couple items, most notably to ban the shift. And I know we've all been proponents of that idea because the shift has just been killing a lot of excitement in baseball. And we'll get into that in a second. But they also voted down the idea of robo-umps and agreed to increase the playoff field, although they haven't agreed yet on the format of that. It might be that the players want 14 teams, the owners want 12 teams, or if they've agreed on the amount of teams, they haven't agreed on how they're going to base the playoff structure. Do you guys like any of these so far, or are you against any of them, I should say? I'm for all of them because I know baseball has a 162 game season, and you don't want to water down that season as it is because with getting too many teams. But I think baseball has an issue with teams being out of it by like May and June, and it kills a lot of the interest in those markets where teams are out of it. So this will only keep the interest longer, and hopefully they'll have an increase in fan engagement, excitement in those other markets. In terms of the shift, I think it's a no-brainer, right?
I don't know why they're waiting a year.
I don't understand that either. Yeah,
they just do it now. It's so like
because all it's been has been home run or strikeout, home run or strikeout. You rarely have people on base, and that's what brings excitement to baseball is when you get guys on base, right?
Yep, that creates urgency.
They also want to speed up the game, so there's a pitch clock, and players are against that. I guess you have to try to find the fine line between, keeping the traditions of baseball, right? Which is a slower game, but also trying to cater to the younger audience, which is, it's a TikTok audience. They have a 30-second attention span. Nobody wants to go to a baseball game for 5 hours.
They have to modernize the game. It's literally, think about the four professional sports. You have football, which looks completely different. Back in the day, you couldn't throw forward passes. You couldn't do anything. You have basketball that has the 3-point shot. It's fast paced. It's exciting. Hockey is now all skill, speed. Baseball is the only one that looks the exact same as it did 100 years ago. They don't want to change anything. And baseball purists are like, the game's perfect. The game is unwatchable. And I agree, Joe. I agree with all the rule changes. The shift, that was a no-brainer. I can't believe that wasn't outlawed mid-game. Mid-game, like 6th inning, Manfred calls the Rays and they're like, stop shifting. Because that's what the NFL would have done.
You missed one that I was just scrolling up here and just kind of getting a quick glance. Did you know that they're making the bases larger in 20?
I did know that. Yes. Yes.
Why?
What is the reasoning behind that?
Is that would that not be the same as the hockey equivalent here?
Increasing the net size?
No,
I was thinking of that. I was saying, but how about when they actually increase the line size of the blue line? Remember that?
Like making the dots bigger or something.
Or the hash marks on the face-offs. Like, come on, guys. Now we're really but you know what? This also strikes me as one of these things where whoever proposed it, so I would think obviously the players proposed it. The owners were turned to each other and said, this is what you guys want? Sure. You win that one, but we'll take the luxury tax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one of those ones where we're probably like, you know what? Yeah, you guys can have that one, but we want this one. This is one of those throw-ins. It doesn't move the needle for me. Like, I don't know. It's going to get stupid now. Like really bigger bases. What are you playing? Softball with a 2-base first base? You know what I'm talking about, Rob? The orange.
Yeah, the orange side. Yeah.
gotta stick to the orange on singles. You can't be.
God.
That's right.
I think, and the players, whenever you get to discussions like this, Frank, like you said, there's like a give and take, and it's like, you want to take that? Like, that's one of the hills. Okay, take that, but we're going to take something back. And the three that they're fighting on right now is one of them is service time, which we can discuss. The other two are the two that kind of go hand in hand. It's player salaries and the luxury tax, which the players want to increase, obviously, because that means more money, which would increase the player salaries. My question is, this luxury tax has been around forever and players are making more than ever. How are the salaries going down? It's quite mind-boggling to me that you have guys signing record deals. You have position players who are getting these ridiculous unteam friendly deals that I can't believe teams are signing these guys. We think about Mike Trout, who is one of the greatest players of the last 100 years. He's played in 3 playoff games, and he's one of the best players we've seen. Position players are meaningless and are getting these ridiculous contracts. So I don't know what the players are arguing about. These guys are getting max deals. Fernando Tatis signed a deal 2 years into his rookie deal, which, I mean, I think San Diego had like 7. You have 7 years of control, right? It's 6 or 7 years of service time.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about these, like service time. Do you think
explain that one to us?
So I believe you have to have 6 to 7 years of time in baseball, and that gives you what? That gives you the ability to be a free agent, so you can sign your. Now, what the players are arguing is that there's service time manipulation. They're waiting till the month into the season before they call guys up. So that's
100% true. Yeah.
Which the players agreed to that in the last.
Okay, but now they're not agreeing to it. Now they want it changed,
and they should, because as we see now, guys are hitting their primes a lot younger.
Yep.
Right. So
the Jays did that with Vladdy, didn't they? They manipulated his service time.
They did, yes. Vladdy's they did. I believe Nate Pearson had the same thing. I think they manipulated both. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was Nate. So I agree with that. Like, change that, but we also have to say, if the owners are gonna change that, they're gonna put a cap on how much the players can make, or they're not gonna raise the luxury tax, because that's just gonna say it's just gonna cost the owners more money. They're just gonna have to pay guys earlier, and these guys are signing these ridiculous deals that they are not worth. A pitcher is worth quite a bit of money. A position player has proven they are worthless unless they start changing some rules in the game.
I heard something to the effect that the players want certain teams to be held accountable for not spending money. For example, like a competitive balance rule where teams are actively trying to be piss poor and not spend any money whatsoever. I heard there's something to that effect. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah, that they want these teams to spend more money, and I agree with that. They should be spending money. The problem is if you're not getting the revenue, or if you're not drawing like you should be, and some of these markets, like, they make a lot of money. The Jays make a ton of money. The Jays contract, the TV contract is outrageous. So forget they don't even care about the gate. But for some of these markets in these small in the smaller cities, I don't know what their revenue structure is. So I don't want to say, hey, I'm not going to tell a business how to spend their money if they're not making a lot. Maybe they're making a lot, and then they're going to have to adjust, how much the players make versus the owners. But I can't sit here and say, hey, that needs to be instituted. You have the Yankees that are overspending and are making up for some of these smaller franchises. The Rays get 4,000 people a game. I don't know how they're going to substitute more money and still generate a revenue for the team.
I think anytime you have disputes like this, where you're basically watching billionaires fight with millionaires, it's really difficult for the general Joe Blow public to even care about what's happening, because it's so out of touch with reality. But I understand it. And I'm more on the player side nowadays in this, because the owners are making a ton of money, and I know the players are doing well also, but we're also looking at the players that, like, the top end players are making their money. I believe that the minimum salary in baseball is actually less than the minimum salary in hockey, which is very odd when you look at the maximum salary that guys are signing for. A below average baseball player now is making more than Connor McDavid, right?
Well, when they're on their rookie contracts, I believe they only make $700,000 a year, I believe, in their first 2 or 3 years. That's what I'm not 100% sure on that. But it is, but they get a significant jump in like year 3, 4, and it's all salary controlled. I think it's like they can go up to 8, 10, 12 million, and then it becomes arbitration. They can hit arbitration and go to an arbitrator and then go based off of stats, which I actually like.
But it's also one thing that they can do, Rob, is what the Braves did with Osuna and with the Jays, Horford with Guerrero. In hockey, you have to wait a year prior to re-signing them or signing them to a new deal. In baseball, you don't have to wait the year prior. You can sign them like 2 years into their deal, right? Like that's actually pretty interesting. Knowing that like the Braves, like that contract, I can't remember what he's made, it was like 25, is it 25 million a year, 27 million a year, Ronald Acuna. And it could end up being a steal. Obviously, you're taking a risk, but if they're doing it if you're doing it in year 2 versus, year 5 or year 6 before that contract, comes up, and then you may be paying 35, 36. So I actually kind of like that. There's a risk reward, but you're not actually waiting a year prior to doing it like that. That's actually pretty interesting.
I believe Joe did a rant about this, about the Fernando Tatis contract that they signed him to, like a 13-year deal. Joe, what was it?
I think it was even, yes, it was something like that. I think it's crazy. As good as he is too, like, yeah, so much can go wrong.
The rule change, I think baseball and players need to get their heads out of their ass and say, we've got to draw younger people. We've got to shorten the game. I think that 9-inning games are too long. I really like the 7-inning double headers. I really, really like them. We've got to change the pitchers. We've got to change the mound. We need offense. We need excitement. I think the biggest rule change, and any baseball purist will fight you on it, and this is how you know it's a good rule, there should be a restructure of the lineup within the game. So a coach in the 7th inning can go, hey, it's the only sport where you can't determine, a coach has absolutely no impact on the game outside of pitching. You think in hockey, you could throw a guy out, McDavid and Draisaitl play 30 minutes a game. Football, you can have anybody on the field. What am I miss? Basketball. Baseball is the only one where the lineup is set and you can't do anything. I believe there needs to be a restructuring so that in the 9th inning, the 7th inning, whatever the end of the game is,
you say, I want my heart of the lineup up here.
I'm going to restructure.
We're going to start from here.
And tell me that isn't exciting. Tell me that doesn't bring excitement. But baseball purists hate it because it's against the game and they refuse to change. And it's why it looks the exact same as 1922 baseball, and it doesn't look like 2022 baseball, what it should look like. They're not drawing any children. And I've said this is not going to help baseball. Baseball is in a lot of trouble. Soccer is coming, and it's coming fast. And with the World Cup coming in 2026, these players got to play, and they've got to be more younger viewer friendly. And none of these rules or none of these things they're arguing about is going to help the game. It's going to help the players make more money. It's going to help the owners distribute the wealth. Yeah. It's not helping the fans.
I would say in the 80s and early 90s, baseball was more popular than football in the United States. And then the strike happened. They missed the World Series, and they've been fighting a battle uphill ever since that. The home run chase in 99 helped out a lot in regaining the fans. I think if this goes really long, this could really hurt the sport long term like it did back then. So I think it's in their best interest to get it going as soon as possible. But I also heard that the owners kind of like the fact that they're going to miss the first month of the season because April's kind of like a crappy month for them business-wise. Not a lot of people want to go see it yet. The weather's still crappy in a lot of areas. So they don't mind missing that first month of the year because they don't have to dish out the salaries for that first month, and they're not generating a lot of income. It actually works out well for the owners. It'll be interesting to see how much longer past that they're willing to go. And I think it's in their best interest, the owners and the players, to get it done as soon as possible.
Can we go a little further? I'm going to say the late 1970s, baseball was far and away the number one sport in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
The NBA finals was on tape delay 40 years ago. This would be before our time. It was on tape that they didn't even, it was like, it was tape delay, and football was nowhere near where it is today, but they evolved, and baseball refuses to evolve, and they need to. It's for the betterment of the game, and it's just they refuse to change.
All right, boys. Well, everyone, thank you for listening to our chat on baseball. It's been a while since we got to chat baseball. Hopefully we'll get to do it a little bit more as these two sides come to an agreement, hopefully soon, because the Jays are going to have a really good team, and we're from Toronto. We're big Jays fans, so hopefully they get that sorted out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, drop us a line, a comment. Tell us what you think baseball should do in terms of rule changes and any other thing you'd like us to discuss on a future show.